Thousands of people across the GTA marked the first night of Hanukkah.
We can't hide. We're not going to hide.
Some Jewish leaders say the celebration is especially significant given a rise in anti-Semitism. We'll have more from an event at Queen's Park and in North York. Plus,
this decision really, from my perspective, expands what you have to disclose about a house.
a Canadian NBA star wins what's likely to be a precedent-setting lawsuit to undo his purchase of a mansion where the self-proclaimed crypto king lived. And
thankfully, we did have natural snowfall earlier in the season.
that fresh blanket of snow is good news for ski hills around the province. We check in on Blue Mountain's opening day. Thousands attended menorah lighting events across the GTA tonight to mark the first night of Hanukkah. This year, some Jewish leaders say the celebration is especially significant given a rise in anti-Semitism in Toronto. Olivia Bowden reports.
Rabbi Moish Spalter is raised high above Queen's Park as community members and MPs look on. He needs a lift to light the first candle on a 12-foot menorah to mark the first night of Hanukkah.
It's a light. It's a time of light for every family.
Hanukkah is celebrated with the lighting of the menorah over 8 days. But this year, it's not just celebrations on people's minds. There's been a rise in hate crimes amid the war between Israel and Hamas. Rabbi Spalter says that's why Hanukkah is especially significant this year.
They need to feel strong. They need to feel encouraged to be able to be upfront and open about their Judaism. We can't hide. We're not going to hide.
The Ontario government announced today it's allocating $20.5 million to address a rise in hate towards religious and minority groups. They said they will be prioritizing Muslim and Jewish communities.
I think it's so important that we come together and all speak out against anti-Semitism and Islamophobia and all forms of hate.
Lighting the menorah is about bringing light into everyone's lives, and it's a good time for all of us to come together.
Mayor Olivia Chow was also in attendance at another event to mark the beginning of Hanukkah at Mel Lastman Square.
Okay, we got our fire.
It was organized by the Jewish Russian Community Center. And attendees said even though it's a difficult period, it's important for the Jewish community to gather.
It's a tough time, but we're keeping positive and keeping the light aflame.
In a challenging time, being together with your community and feeling their support is more important than ever.
Back at Queen's Park, this menorah will continue to be lit over the next 7 days.
It's a big menorah back, out in the street, but the real celebration is at home. Everybody should have their own Chanukiah, their own small Chanukiah, light it with your family, explain to them what it is. That's the main celebration.
Olivia Bowden, CBC News, Toronto.
A Canadian-born NBA star has won a lawsuit to cancel his purchase of a multi-million-dollar mansion in Burlington. Ontario's self-described crypto king used to live in the home. The NBA player claimed the waterfront property was unsafe after a series of threatening visits. Ryan Patrick Jones explains.
This 10,000 square foot luxury home in Burlington boasts 6 bedrooms, a spa, and a private dock on the shores of Lake Ontario.
Gilgeous-Alexander.
Toronto-born NBA star Shai Gilgeous-Alexander bought it in the spring for $8.4 million and moved in with his girlfriend. But just days later, a stranger knocked on the door, looking for Aiden Potursky, according to court documents. The self-described crypto king lived there for around a year. That is, until his cryptocurrency investment operation unraveled last year, and investors came looking for more than $40 million they'd given him, and a bankruptcy proceeding was launched. Gilgeous-Alexander's girlfriend later learned from police there had been other threats to the property, including attempted break-ins, the court documents say, and even a threat to burn down the house. The couple left and never came back. Then Gilgeous-Alexander sued to reverse the sale, and a judge agreed. In his decision, Ontario Superior Court Justice Robert Senta wrote the seller failed to disclose a latent defect in the property and made a fraudulent representation that it was safe and secure when they put it up for sale. The judge adding, the seller suppressed the truth about the Burlington property and made positive representations that the property was private and secure. Those representations were knowingly false.
Yeah, I'm pretty shocked by this. Anybody who is thinking about not disclosing something about a house now should think twice. because this decision really, from my perspective, expands what you have to disclose about a house.
The seller is a company controlled by GTA developer Ray Gupta and his son Sandeep. The judge agreed with Gilgis Alexander that the Guptas knew about threats to the home and should have disclosed them.
I'm sorry.
Platursky was allegedly kidnapped last December, and according to the bankruptcy proceeding, Sandeep Gupta knew about it and was even asked to pay the ransom. The judge said that shows Sandeep was aware of safety concerns surrounding Platursky. This lawyer representing some of the creditors says the judgment could help the bankruptcy.
Why this decision is so helpful is that they no longer need to consider proceeding against the purchasers of the home.
The judge also awarded damages to Gilgis Alexander to put him back in the same place financially he was in before he bought the home. A lawyer for the Guptas previously told the Toronto Star their client intends to appeal the decision. A lawyer for Gilgis Alexander declined to comment. Ryan Patrick Jones, CBC News, Toronto.
The province's Auditor General is raising questions about driver testing and training in Ontario. Among the issues being highlighted, a shorter test to get your driver's license and the test to ensure senior drivers are safe behind the wheel. Queen's Park reporter Lorenda Redekop has more.
This driving instructor wants the longer driving test for a full G license brought back, requiring a parallel park and a 3-point turn, axed due to the pandemic backlog, now only required for an initial G2 test. He says new drivers forget.
When they go for G test and they come to us and they have no idea how to do park, how to turn. And that make us serious concern, like we scared.
The acting Auditor General says the testing backlog is cleared, but the shorter test remains. He also raised concerns about people who've had multiple license suspensions. They have 6 times the fatality rate of other drivers, yet don't have to be retested.
People that are driving under the influence have to do that. So we're suggesting that the ministry have to take a look at this.
And he questioned the testing for seniors 80 years and up.
There's no driving test for them. It's a cognitive test. So someone has to go in, basically identify what a clock is, and draw that clock to basically get their driving test or driving license.
He found people who passed that test were more likely than the general driving population to have caused the collisions they were involved in and had twice as many fatal collisions. The Alzheimer's Society of Ontario points to another safeguard. Optometrists, doctors, and nurse practitioners all have to alert the Transportation Ministry of health changes. It can lead to either conditions on someone's license or it being revoked.
This captures many individuals who might even before the age of 80, when the mandatory 2-year review at drive test comes in, quite a few individuals who wouldn't pass that test would have had their license revoked well before then anyway.
Though the auditor found the ministry didn't reach out to those medical practitioners to increase awareness of the need to report medical conditions. The Alzheimer's Society wants more supports for older seniors to ensure they can get around if they do lose their license.
A spokesperson for the Transportation Minister says Ontario is the only place in Canada that requires seniors 80 and up to successfully finish a group education session. That includes a senior driving video, as well as that clock test, and also a vision test every 2 years. Lorenda Redekop, CBC News, Toronto.
It was a snowy start to the day for commuters in the city. Toronto got hit with the first snowfall of the season, with the white stuff lightly blanketing city streets overnight. But the winter wonderland didn't last long. Above seasonal temperatures swiftly turned the dusting of snow to slush in many spots. And let's check in with Colette Kennedy now for a first look at the forecast. And in Toronto right now, you would never even know it snowed this morning.
Yeah, I tell you, after some really messy conditions early this morning with that snow, it was in the forecast. Most areas picked up 2 to 5 centimeters, a few spots east and north, a little bit more than that, and then in the city, a little less. Plus, with the temperatures rising above freezing, other than to the north, we found that melting away very, very quickly. And other than, check out eastern Ontario, Ottawa -8, Kingston at 2. Yeah, that warm front becoming more of a stationary front and kind of stalling out there. So through the overnight, we have partly to mostly cloudy skies, depending where you are in the lower Great Lakes region. And then into tomorrow, you get some sunshine here in southwestern Ontario, looking really good for the first half of the day. Some of that stretches eastward, and you have a good chance around the Niagara region and a little bit into the GTA, especially western sections are closer hugging the lakeshore into the city, where we could get some sunshine coming into the afternoon hours. And when you get to couple that with mild temperatures, boy, what a lovely day we're looking at. So -1 tonight, but 7 degrees tomorrow afternoon. And yes, have we mentioned that sounds of the season? So some great conditions to come on down to the broadcast center, right, Talia?
That's right, Colette. Thanks. And it's about time for skiers in Toronto to head north and get their first tracks of the season. Resorts are working hard to prepare for the holidays. Our Greg Ross was at Blue Mountain today, where they opened the slopes for the first time this season.
It was an early December treat for skiers and snowboarders.
It's amazing.
Why?
It's awesome. Because I love to ski, and I was just so anxious to come out and ski.
Even with temperatures above freezing for most of the day, skiers say the conditions at Blue Mountain were not that bad.
I actually like it. It's pretty good. It's a little bit soft, but it's fine.
And even better when you consider that the slopes opened about a week ahead of schedule this year.
A typical opening day for us happens around mid-December, so to be able to open in advance of that is always great.
Snowfall here overnight was certainly a good sign, but it's not the reason they were able to open today. It's thanks to the hard work of snowmakers here at Blue Mountain who took advantage of colder temperatures throughout the month of November.
Thankfully, we did have natural snowfall earlier in the season, and our snowmakers have been really great 24/7 watching for snowmaking windows.
They say they've generated enough snow that they're confident they'll have no problem getting through some milder temperatures expected over the weekend.
Seeing those warmer temperatures, it does mean that we have to be really strategic. And that means that storing snow in different areas can see us through like a warmer weekend like this coming up.
Blue Mountain had about 1,000 skiers and snowboarders on the slopes today, despite only having 2 top-to-bottom runs and 1 beginner's hill in operation. They still have another 40 runs that have yet to open here. Greg Ross, CBC News, Collingwood.
Back in Toronto, a woman is dead after being hit by a truck near St. Clair and Christie this afternoon.
A garbage truck was traveling westbound on St. Clair Avenue. As it proceeded to go northbound on Winona Drive, it struck the female who was in the crosswalk.
The woman, believed to be in her 50s, was pronounced dead at the scene. The driver of the vehicle remained on scene and is cooperating with police. York police releasing these images today of 2 suspects wanted after an unknown substance was sprayed into the air of a Vaughan movie theater last night. It happened around 9:20 at the Cineplex near Highway 7 and Highway 400. Police say about 200 people were watching a Hindi language film when they were exposed to the substance. People started coughing and the audience had to evacuate the theater. According to paramedics, several moviegoers were treated for exposure, but no serious injuries were reported. 2 male suspects fled, and police say the incident was not isolated.
2 similar instances occurred in our neighboring jurisdictions. One instance at a theater in Brampton and one in Scarborough. And that was on the same night, all within the span of approximately 3 hours. And we believe that we're looking at the same suspects in these cases.
York Regional Police say they're working with officers in Toronto and Brampton to investigate the incidents. York's Hate Crimes Unit has also been notified. Welcome back. Is it possible to fly from Toronto to Portugal for just a few dollars? Apparently so, if you don't include all of the taxes, fees, and other charges that are added on. The owner of a GTA travel agency claims one Canadian airline is pushing super low-cost base fares in an effort to squeeze agents out of commissions. Angelina King breaks it all down for us.
Jeff Furman has been in the travel industry for more than 25 years and has seen a lot. But a recent flight booking one of his employees did for clients with Air Transat made him do a double take.
It's just not a truthful, honest approach to the pricing of an airline ticket.
It was for Toronto to Lisbon. On first glance, it looks like the ticket cost $3.50. That is the base fare, but the taxes, fees, and surcharges are an extra $720. Travel agents get a commission from the airline on the base fare. So on this booking, that was 18 cents a ticket, a fraction of the approximately $15 they'd usually get on a booking like this.
It's ridiculous. It's insulting. This is a deliberate move to pay us less.
Vermin and other travel agents make a profit two ways: commissions on bookings and service fees from clients. Vermin says his company lost money on the Air Transat booking and says if this continues, he'll have to increase fees to clients to stay in business. He's also concerned about the general lack of transparency.
It's basically saying to consumers that you're flying for free except for the taxes and surcharges, etc.
So what exactly are these surcharges? Let's take a look at another Air Transat flight from Toronto to Lisbon. This one leaves in January. If I select the Eco Standard option, the base fare is even cheaper. It's just $2, but the flight is $720. Taxes, fees, and charges amount to just over $117. On this booking, that includes things like a passenger charge from Portugal and an airport improvement fee in Canada. But the bulk of the price comes from what's listed as other ATC, or additional transportation charges. Those are the costs that it takes to operate the flight itself, things like fuel and insurance.
It's the Wild West when it comes to what you surcharge. An unregulated and no oversight addition to your ticket price that is determined purely on the whim of the airline. The travel agencies are getting squeezed. There's no doubt about it.
John Graddick says the government doesn't care how it's split up as long as the total price is clear.
There are a lot of rules and regulations around tickets.
This travel agency owner says more transparency around pricing would help, especially on more complicated bookings when customers pay with points or want a refund.
There's so many different nuances that really create confusion, uncertainty.
Air Transat didn't answer questions about its base fares, but said it's in line with Canadian and global airline industry practices, including its fare structure, and, in a transparent fashion, displays the total price of flights. Vermin has filed a complaint with the Competition Bureau and says he'd like to see airline surcharges regulated.
Not a time to be hitting us again. I fought through the pandemic. I've got to fight through this too.
Angelina King, CBC News, Toronto.
Popping outside now for a live look at the city. Cloudy tonight after a milder day, currently sitting at 4 degrees. Colette's back now with our extended forecast, and it sounds like there's more of that mild weather coming.
Yeah, I tell you, we're in for a treat. Now, especially tomorrow for Friday, dry with mild conditions. It does get warmer, though, as we pull into the weekend, but sky conditions start to change. So, yes, those temperatures moving on up, no question about it. And certain areas tomorrow will benefit from the sun, and I detailed that a bit earlier in the show, and we'll go over that again with some better visuals for you, but just scattered showers on Saturday, okay? So it's not that big a deal, and then it's into Saturday night, Sunday, that becomes more organized and widespread, and we get into the wet conditions, and things begin to cool back down again. So tomorrow morning, as I was illustrating, a beautiful day today in southwest Ontario, and tomorrow at least half of the day you get the sun back. Through the afternoon, we're seeing the Niagara region still into sun, but those low-level clouds are going to be pretty stubborn anywhere kind of north. So near the lakeshore, again in the GTA, we should have some sun and points to the west and to the south. Now into Saturday we go, and you see how the main event, the main rain is still back to the northwest. So it's more just scattered along that frontal boundary moving through. And then we go Saturday night into Sunday, and here comes that batch of more organized rain. And you're going to see that reflected here then with the rainfall amounts. So when it's just some scattered light stuff, we're talking trace to maybe 5 millimeters or so. Then we add in the organized batch, that comes in as we go into Sunday, especially early in the day, and you see those totals really rise, especially into the Niagara region where you're getting to 25, maybe even 30 millimeters of rain there. Overnight temperatures, again, doing some different things where they're cooler kind of now, and then they pick up as we go towards the morning hours. And again, the exception into extreme eastern Ontario and along the St. Lawrence River Valley, where you're socked into some of that cooler air there. the warm-up will come there too and do some melting. 7 for tomorrow, 10 Saturday. So Saturday, tell you, at least part of the day is going to be quite enjoyable, plus mild, and then things change and we do cool down as we head back into next week.
Thanks, Colette. Finally tonight, patients at Canada's largest children's rehabilitation hospital got one-on-ones with a special guest today. Santa made a virtual visit to Holland Bloorview, chatting with kids who are too vulnerable to catch Mr. Claus in person. Take a look.
Here she comes. How are you, Simone?
Good.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.
Connected Santa is here today. It's an opportunity for our inpatients to meet one-on-one with Santa himself virtually. Connected Santa, brought to us by Cisco, approached us and interested in offering this service to us, knowing that we have vulnerable inpatients here throughout the holiday season who may not be able to get out to community malls to see Santa, and who get the opportunity to have a very unique, customized experience with Santa.
Hi, how are you? So good to see you.
I think it's pretty magical. There are some Santa's elves who help Santa know a little bit about each person before they get to go see him. So he has some inside scoop on what their likes are, what their dreams are for the holiday season. So it's a pretty customized and unique opportunity, so pretty magical.
Frozen slushy. Do you love it? Yeah.
It's a great opportunity for our inpatients and families, sometimes here for a long time. So a special occasion like this is a nice way for them to appreciate the holidays, even though they have to be at hospital.
What is it like, do you think, for other kids that are here?
Well, I mean, like, it will let them be a child again, I guess, because in hospitals it's kind of hard to do that. I'm just hoping it brings kids joy.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas.
And that's our show for you tonight. Thanks so much for watching. We'll leave you with another look at Mel Lastman Square tonight, where people gather to kick off the first night of Hanukkah. Good night.
Out of snow, I had a little